Hello, this is Coach Wilson, and this is Unit 3, Day 7. Today's journal, I'd like for you to explain 4 important things from the election of 1800 and the end of John Adams' presidency. Be sure to think about the lasting impact of the election and how it may have influenced elections in the future. All right? Now, today we're going to be talking about Thomas Jefferson's presidency. We're going to be getting into some of those details that we need to know about Thomas Jefferson, and he was a very important president of the United States. Obviously, very involved in the Constitution, very involved in the founding very involved as a founding father. And so today, what I'd like for you to be able to do is explain the important aspects of his presidency and its lasting effects on manifest destiny. Now, the Louisiana Purchase was in 1803, one of Jefferson's greatest accomplishments by far. He was able to buy from France a huge portion of territory in the Midwest. We originally wanted to buy New Orleans is what we were seeking out because we would wanted those shipping rights to be, or the rights to that port to where we could ship things coming in through the Gulf of Mexico. Because Napoleon was trying to promote the war effort in France and trying to, at that point, conquer much of Europe, he sold a good portion of the land for very cheap. All right, we bought it for about $15 million, all of the land you see there in green, and it averaged out to about 3 cents an acre. I can tell you right now, if I could buy an acre of land for 3 cents, I might cry. It doubled the size of the U.S. almost instantly, and you're going to see this change America as a whole because now you're going to have a lot more arguments about slavery, expansion, Native Americans, all the things that happen over the next 50 years are born out of this event. Now, here is the Louisiana Territory, covers much of Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, parts of Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Minnesota, and Iowa. So there's quite a few states there that are going to form out of the Louisiana Purchase. Now, they're not going to form immediately, but the territories will begin to be settled. Now, Jefferson's dilemma with getting Louisiana territories, if you remember when we talked about anti-federalists, Jefferson did not believe that the government had powers that were not explicitly written in the Constitution. Therefore, as an anti-federalist, he had this issue of how was he going to buy land. What he came up with is that he could sign a treaty in which he gave France $15 million and they gave us the land through a treaty. All right. Once again, this is going to be an example of how presidents are going to have to read into the Constitution in order to accomplish things that they want to accomplish. But it goes back to that implied powers, that the government has implied powers. They're not explicitly written in the Constitution. Now, one other thing that Jefferson's going to do with this land before we get to talking about the Louisiana Purchase is he's going to send Meriwether Lewis and William Clark two explorers into the West, all right? And they're going to explore this territory, and they're going to look for a water route for westward expansion because now we've got the land of the Mississippi. Now we've got more land west of the Mississippi. Is there a water route that maybe, in the middle of the country leads all the way out west? They also want him to collect scientific data about plants and animals, and the trip is going to end up lasting somewhere around about 2 years. Now, it actually starts before Jefferson had even bought the land, which is the very interesting part here because he didn't even have, he hadn't secured the land from France and he's already sent out these explorers to start discovering the new land that's American. It's almost like playing with a new toy before Christmas. Now, Lewis and Clark are going to have a little bit of a struggle on the land or on their trip, and they're going to be aided by a Native American guide named Sacagawea. And she knew the land. She was a Shoshone Indian, and she knew kind of where to take them. She's also going to be carrying a baby while on the trip, who will be one of the first babies born in the West, Jean-Baptiste Charbonneau. All right, and here we've got Lewis and Clark. We can go back to them. They made their own boats a lot of times. They had to travel upstream at different points. They very, very innovative. They also were aided by the Shoshone Indians in having Sacagawea with them. Sacagawea actually runs into her brother, who is the leader of the tribe, and he helps them out. So they had a lot of aid throughout the trip. They had a black servant named York who traveled along with them, and he would translate from English to French and from French to Shoshone, and then back again. And the only death they actually had on the trip was Charles Floyd, who died of appendicitis. So only one member of their trip actually passed away. And over this 2-year journey, we had the first recorded discoveries of coyotes, grizzly bears, and mountain lions. All right, and here's a look at some of the animals that they discovered in the West. And obviously, we have real pictures of them now, but these were some of the just pictures I pulled for you to see. Now, Jefferson's second big thing in office was the Embargo Act, or at least another thing in office. I shouldn't say his second biggest. He had a ton of accomplishments and various things, but these are kind of the highlights. The Embargo Act was put in place after an attack on a United States ship known as the Chesapeake was attacked by the British. All right, and what they were doing is they were impressing our soldiers. Okay, and remember, impressments are where other countries come in and they force American citizens who are on ships to basically serve them, and they take their ship, and that obviously is hurting American trade. Okay, number one, Britain still is trying to view many of the U.S. citizens as British citizens, not U.S. citizens. They're still struggling with that idea that the United States is a country of its own now. And the Embargo Act was designed to hurt British trade. The problem was that it hurt the U.S. more than it did other countries. All right, and it backfires on Jefferson because it hurts our economy. And you can see up there on the right, it says, "Dang it, how it nicks 'em. Oh, this cursed, oh, grab me." Now, if you spell "oh, grab me" backwards, it spells embargo. So it's actually embargo backwards when it says "oh, grab me." This is a political cartoon that is showing how the embargo is actually hurting American trade, not the British. Now, Jefferson did not seek a third term as president, but did select his successor, which was Secretary of State James Madison. Madison had been very instrumental in orchestrating the deal between France and America with the Louisiana Purchase. And during this time, the vice presidency did not mean much. So you're never going to really see where vice president stepstoned into the presidency, or at least for a while. And you're going to really see that being Secretary of State was kind of the position that was the stepping stone to being the president. They were very involved in foreign affairs. They were very involved in negotiating treaties, so they had experience. So Jefferson's legacy is going to come down to the election of 1800 with the peaceful transition of power. Marbury versus Madison, which established the concept of judicial review. Louisiana Purchase, where he sent Lewis and Clark out west to explore. And the Embargo Act of 1807. Here are your 3 questions for the day. Please make sure you get those answered. And here are your 4 vocabulary words. If you have any problems, please let me know. If not, I'll talk to you soon.